How is Doublelift so good at AD carry? What does he do that I don't? You know what? Let's start the video off with our first tip. No mucking around here. Tip number 1, winning the race. One of the reasons Doublelift is one of the best AD carries is because he wins the race to level 2. In your games, this is something you have got to start doing. You see how Doublelift auto-attacks one of the melee minions here? Do this in your games. Auto-attack the melee minions to ensure you have the push advantage. The end of the race is the 3rd melee minion of the 2nd wave. And what happens at that point? You and your support hit level 2, good. So why is this important? Why do you have to start winning the race in your games? First reason, your kill pressure goes through the roof. Your lane has 2 extra cooldowns and better innate stats because of the level up. Regardless of how bad the matchup is or if you are missing more health than your opponent, everything is compensated for and more by the level advantage. Your threat is increased if you have a support with hard engage. You can spam ping on your way declaring your intention to fight, and your support can flash in and initiate a fight which will lead to kills and assists, summoner spells at least. In lower levels of play, I guarantee you will get numbers in the kill column by winning the race to level 2. The second reason, and it's tied into your kill pressure, your lane pressure. Not only is it risky for the enemy team to walk near you, it's also risky for them to contest the minion wave because they didn't win the race to level 2. At any point, your support can flash in and CC the enemy AD carry. Even if your wannabe mad life support in silver or gold doesn't make the correct play, you alone can exert a massive amount of pressure in the lane because of your damage. Stand on top of your melee minions and look to lay down the hurt as soon as the enemy AD carry walks up for a CS. If they don't, they miss out on gold and you create a lead off hitting level 2 first. Third and final reason, you will have the minion advantage. This matters because minions are a huge part of the early game in that they deal a lot of damage. Sometimes they will deal even more damage than champions in fights, so you have to win the race in order to have the minions on your side. It's also a bonus for your jungler because your lane has what? Priority. Perfect. So if your jungler wants to take the bottom side scuttle crab, you and your support have the first move to rotate because you have that minion advantage. Think of it like this. You winning the race to level 2 directly wins your lane and indirectly wins the jungle. But coach, what happens if I get ganked? This will happen of course, not every game you are going to have an ideal early lane, but even if the enemy jungler tries to gank you after red buff, you can potentially 2v3. If we were to count cooldowns, you and your support have 2 each, that's 4, and the enemy 3 champions have 2 on their jungler and 1 on each of their bot lane. That's 4 as well, so it's actually more even than you think. The important thing in those situations is to focus the enemy jungler and try to focus all your cooldowns and auto attacks onto them. Ping to your support your intention, and in that case you would directly win the jungle by killing them. Right, let me get back to my intro. Stop distracting me. Welcome, GameLeapers. Thought I'd throw a tip at you right off the bat. I'm Coach Eagz, multi-season challenger player now coach, and in this video, you will keep learning what you have to start doing in your games to stomp lane and win just like Doublelift. I'll be giving you 2 more essential challenger tips, so if you enjoyed the video and learned something from it, please leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and turn on all notifications, and GameLeap.com. Our website is the market leader in providing you with the best League of Legends content designed to help all of you reach your potential. Hundreds of videos, courses, guides, you name it, just 1 click away. So join thousands of others and get signed up. Links down below. Tip number 2, here we go. Target selection. In lane, prioritize your damage onto the enemy AD carry. Your intention in your games is to take down your opponent as much as possible. You can't do this without targeting them. Too many AD carries in low elo use their auto attacks and abilities on the minion wave when they don't have to, or their support when your support just flashed onto the enemy AD carry. There are, however, some exceptions in lane. Unless the enemy AD carry is on 1 HP, when the enemy support runs unusually close to you, damage them. It's important to note that yes, you want to unleash your power on the enemy AD carry, but this doesn't mean we shouldn't damage the enemy support when given an obvious opportunity to do so. You still get the same golden experience from killing the support as you do ADC. It's just better to grade screen the enemy marksman. When they are not on the map, you can increase your golden experience lead through extra minion waves and turret plates. The kill starts a chain reaction if you like. The other exception to the rule of prioritizing the enemy AD carry is when your support engages onto the enemy support. Look here, Thresh hooks the Nami. Whenever this type of crowd control lands, your focus turns to that CC target. What makes it even better in this situation is that Jinx is standing so far away, she cannot return fire immediately. If I was being really critical, Doublelift should be moving down while focusing Nami to maintain that space between Jinx and himself. If you are on a champion like Lucian or Ezreal, always E away from the non-CC'd enemy so you can evade their damage for as long as possible while dealing the same amount of damage to that CC'd target. Not really a big deal here though. The other time your target selection changes is in teamfights. Stand and deliver. You are not Echo, you are not Zed, you are not Akali. You don't have a great deal of mobility as an ADC compared to these assassins, but what you do have is damage. In before someone complains about crit ADCs in the comments. You'd be right there, so go ahead. So hit whatever is in front of you. The Doublelift in this fight, it's too risky for him to run past Shen to the enemy backline. Agree? So the only target he can realistically damage is the blue ninja, and he ends up killing him. Now once you kill that tanky meathead right in front of you, it then opens up opportunities to access the enemy back line. If you're playing Jhin like Doublelift is here, all of a sudden your ultimate has a greater scope to it, and you can finally blow the enemy squishies to bits. In this particular fight, Doublelift continues hitting whatever is in front of him, and Gragas hits the deck too. So target selection, guys, very important. Moving on to tip number 3, counting cooldowns. Hope you're all enjoying the video thus far. Friendly reminder to leave a like. I'm sure you have heard of counting cards. In League, from this video onwards, you are counting cooldowns. You might be an attack damage carry, and most of your damage typically comes from auto attacking, but your abilities scale off your attack damage, and on certain champions like Jhin and Misfortune, your spells can be devastating in fights. So what do I really mean by this? Think of this lane Doublelift is in. What are the key enemy cooldowns? Before level 6 you have Gragas E and Ashe's W. Not really a major threat this one, but it's still useful to count. Now if Gragas has his E at the ready, is he a potential threat? He is, yes. And this informs us on how to position and play the lane until that cooldown is used. You want to stand away from that threat. Playing aggressively is more dangerous because you can be punished for overextending. If he uses his E or misses it, is he now a threat? No. So now you have justification for playing like a maniac. Stand up in the lane and try to deal as much damage as possible. But what about level 6? What are the key enemy cooldowns? Gragas E is still a threat, and now Gragas's R and Ashe's R. But there are 2 more cooldowns you have to start counting. This is why Doublelift stands a good distance away from both enemy champions and respects it so much that he gives up a minion in order to stay safe. He's counting the key enemy cooldowns. This does not just apply in lane, by the way. This is throughout a game and is arguably more important in teamfights. Let's watch the next minute while counting cooldowns. What's this? An Ashe arrow sending it down the mid lane. This has a 90-second cooldown, so let's remember that and skip towards the next dragon fight about 45 seconds or so later. Now, does Ashe have a crystal arrow? No, right? So Doublelift is playing way too passive here with cleanse. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think so too? After Shen uses his taunt, let's count this cooldown. With cleanse available, if Hecarim ults and fears Doublelift, he can just cleanse and use the speed from Nimbus Cloak to recreate that space. Now I think taking the fight with Ashe is a little risky just because she can do a lot of damage with her Frost Shot and Ranger's Focus, but Doublelift can just run through to the fight. He ends up doing this and they eventually kill Hecarim, but if he was counting cooldowns and used his own, that being cleanse, I think they kill Hecarim quicker and Lilia might survive. That reminds me actually, counting cooldowns does not just refer to QWE and R. What else do you think this includes? Summoner spells, excellent. Why do you think top players time flashes? Because they matter. Think of an immobile AD carry without flash, for instance. If you have a Zed on your team, that information is critical. So pinging this to your teammates is important, but keeping track of it yourself is also meaningful, especially in lane. And it isn't just flash. Watch this clip. What does Doublelift fail to take into consideration here? Ashe still has her heal and he ends up burning his flash and soon after his cleanse. I actually don't mind the play because if Ashe doesn't have heal, then she dies for sure, but the fact that she does costs Doublelift a lot. So remember to count your cooldowns. I want to quickly show you this clip and let's point out everything Doublelift does that we've talked about. Apart from racing to level 2 of course because he's level 9. So the enemy Hecarim is threatening to gank and jump onto Doublelift. Even if the horse doesn't have his ultimate, he can still kill Doublelift or at least do a serious bit of damage. So Doublelift backs up after counting and respecting these cooldowns. Zed interrupts Hecarim's E, and now the question is, does Doublelift prioritize the AD carry like we said, or is this one of those hit whatever is in front of you situations? Well, seeing as Hecarim is squishy and killable with the set CC and Ashe has her ultimate, running straight towards the Ashe is a definite mistake. So he hugs the close wall to stay safe of Ashe's threat and stands and delivers. Hecarim dies, and after Ashe uses her W, she no longer has mana to use her ultimate. Shen then teleports behind Doublelift. A lot going on, I know, but we continue. So what's Shen's key cooldown? His taunt. So Doublelift doesn't commit to Ashe until this key cooldown is used, right? Similar in lane when Gragas has his body slam available. Wait for that cooldown to be used before unleashing onto the primary target. And that's what Doublelift does here. He even retreats when Shen taunts him to keep that distance from Ashe's auto attacks. After cleansing Shen's taunt, he can then return his focus to Ashe, regardless of what Shen does because his key cooldown has been used. So yes, that was a lot of information, but that 20-second clip typifies what we've been talking about: target selection and enemy cooldowns. Remember these 3 tips, GameLeaps, I guarantee you will start destroying your lane in hard carrying games. Before you like the video and subscribe, GameLeap.com. Remember those 4 syllables. You want to maximize your potential? Then our site is all you need. Hundreds of challenger videos, courses, guides, you name it, just one click away. So as I said, join thousands of others and get signed up. Links will be in the description and comment section. This has been Coach Eagz, and until next time, peace.